Going on, dudes and dudettes? Yeah, I'm filming this Tuesday night. It's Tuesday? Yeah. But I was waiting to record this till after the Laker game so I could write down at the end what was the score, what ended up happening, and it just came down to the wire. So I will let you know towards the end of this video. But to start this off, yes, USC did get 2 commitments today from the transfer portal. The first one earlier today was a defensive lineman, Isaiah Raikes. I believe that's how you say last name. From Texas A&M. He's a really big, fire hydrant, thick type of dude on the defensive line where he's just going to be able to be in there, clog up the middle, try to stop the run game and let the linebackers do what they need to do. But yeah, this is definitely a big time area of need for USC. So glad he ended up choosing them to transfer to. And then I did mention in the last video that the quarterback from UNLV, Jayden Maiava, selected Georgia the other day. And then for some reason, somehow, I said that he has now flipped to USC, which is pretty crazy because I don't think I've ever seen that happen unless a coach left or something like that happened when a guy was transferring. But nowadays, you can kind of do anything as of right now when it comes to transferring. So as of right this second, USC has got another transfer, and it is that quarterback, Jayden Maiava. It was kind of interesting why he was going there because they have another guy staying in Carson Beck, who's going to be one of their top seniors as a quarterback, and they have a couple of good guys coming in this class as well from high school. So it's kind of weird why he would want to go out there and take a chance when he knows that once Miller Moss decides to leave pretty much after this next season coming up, that it would be his opportunity to play no matter what at USC. But as of right now, it is official that he is transferring, so this is going to be pretty good for their quarterback depth at USC, especially going into the spring games and all that stuff. So definitely looking forward to this as of right now. And then that wide receiver we talked about from Oregon State the other day, Silas Bolden, has set up I think 4 official visits in this month of January, and I think he's going to be visiting USC January 27th, and it looks like it's one of his last official visits, so hopefully they're able to woo him at the very end of his visiting cycle and he ends up choosing USC. You never know, because they had that with a couple other guys recently and didn't work out. But yes, hoping for the best when it comes to this situation. And then the Lions wide receiver, ex-USC guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think this season he's had 9 100-yard games receiving, which I think is the first time, I believe it said, since Calvin Johnson, since a Lions player has led the NFL in that category, which is pretty cool. Obviously, one of the bigger steals later in the mid-rounds of the draft in most recent history. Even though when he was coming out, I wanted the Chargers to at least select him in the 2nd or 3rd round. The Lions waited until the 4th, and they got one of the better players in their franchise history as of right now, especially at that position. He still has to do a lot to catch up to Calvin Johnson, but he's catching up pretty close and pretty quickly. So congrats to him. He's definitely balling out. And just sucks that it's not with the Chargers. And a reporter or analyst from 247 Sports recently put out a mock draft according to them. And they have Caleb Williams from USC going number 1 overall to the Chicago Bears, which is pretty obvious and pretty cool. But we'll see if that does end up happening and if he still is going to the NFL or not. It's no official word yet still. And then they have the Chargers at number 5 selecting an offensive tackle from Penn State. I believe his name is Olu Fashanu. I know I'm saying that wrong because I haven't heard it said out loud, but it looks like that, and I can see them maybe going in this situation. I know there's a Notre Dame tackle out there who's considered the better one, and Joe Alt in this mock draft is selected after. But I think the person that was picked right after this Chargers pick in the mock draft, the wide receiver Malik Neighbors from LSU, is definitely the guy I would be targeting. And if not him, then the tight end Brock Bowers from Georgia, because I think Justin Herbert definitely needs some help. He's had some aging help around him, and yes, Keenan Allen is still a baller. Mike Williams is good when he's healthy, but he keeps breaking down and getting hurt, and most likely will be cut to save money in this offseason. So he's going to definitely need another top receiver, because the last one they chose last year, Quentin Johnston, has not performed well, especially in his first year. He still have time on his rookie deal, but to get a more generational, automatic type of guy, especially from LSU, one of the top places to get really good receivers, especially as of late, I think you select him over Olu Fashanu. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. But yes, looking forward to this NFL draft coming up soon. You will be getting a lot of mock drafts as well. But yes, definitely looking forward to that. And all three of USC's 2024 men's basketball signings, Liam Campbell, Brody Kozlowski, and Trent Perry, were all nominated to be at the McDonald's All-Americans. So I don't know if they were 100% selected and will be playing in that game, but at least I guess if they're nominated, their names are in the running. So that's pretty cool. At least you know how talented of guys that these are coming in for USC basketball. So that's pretty cool. And then the other day in USC's basketball's victory, one player, I think it was Hornery, got like his jersey ripped, and he had to wear a sub jersey, which was just one they have to give to guys if something like that happens where there's blood on it and they have to change the jersey right away for the player who's on the court. And they said their normal jersey that they wear, at least a number, is number 14. So I could have been a contender because obviously 14 is my favorite number. So yeah, that's pretty cool that that's their sub number. So definitely some pretty awesome stuff to hear that out the other day. And 247 Sports, once again, the other day did release their top impactful freshmen in college basketball as of right now, as they still have USC's Isaiah Collier at number 1, which is pretty obvious because he has been the better player so far as a freshman, in my opinion. And it's not just because he's at USC, it's just because he looks like he could already play in the NBA, in my opinion. But yes, that was pretty cool to see. And the Duke basketball player Jared McCain from out here in the Inland Empire was number 8, I believe, on that list. And it's pretty obvious because he's one of the better, not only freshmen, but players on the team, and probably has a better three-point percentage as well on the team for Duke. So yes, that's very cool to see both of my teams represented on that top 10 list. And then speaking of Duke basketball, yes, today they were on the road up there in Pittsburgh and played Pitt, and were able to get that 20-plus point victory against them, 75-53. Kyle Filipowski had 26 points. He was 11 of 12 from the field goals, 10 rebounds, which was his 21st career double-double, which is pretty cool. So it's obvious that he's not really technically struggling just because he had that off-season surgery and pretty much has been using this first part of the season to actually finally play with contact and all that stuff, and not only in practices but on the court as well in these games. So I wasn't that surprised with a little bit of his mishaps early in the year, but he's definitely looking like he's getting his stride and going for like that player of the year, not only in the ACC but in college basketball overall. So yes, definitely very excited about his play and this team moving forward. And a Duke linebacker and Ryan Smith did put his name in the transfer portal, but apparently it looks like he has withdrawn his transfer the other day. So that's pretty cool. It looks like he will be returning to Duke. I guess either not a lot of teams reached out to him, or he just figured that it's going to be better for him to stay, obviously, with the defensive-minded coach, once again, in Manny Diaz. So might as well just take a shot, at least in the spring, as another chance to transfer out again after that if he needs to or wants to. But yeah, this is definitely some big news for the Duke football team. The Anaheim Ducks tonight did beat Nashville on the road 5-3. They pretty much had this game in the bag because after the first period they were winning like 3-0 and then 4-0 early in the second. So yes, luckily they were able to still hang on to this lead, so that's good for them. And then Duke football did also make a recent hire for their general manager, player of personnel, I believe, and his name was John Garrett. So never really heard of him, never really knew that, because I think even the men's basketball team has a general manager or something like that. So I guess that's just how it goes. You need certain other positions for certain different sports, especially if they're as big as football or basketball, especially if your teams are good. So that's pretty cool overall, I guess. And then, yeah, speaking of that Lakers game, I kept this to the end because I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. And like I said, I just watched it to the very end. And yes, they were able to get that victory against Toronto, 132 to 131. Anthony Davis had 30 plus points, hit some clutch free throws towards the end, because if he missed those last two free throws, then the Lakers would not have been up by 4. And of course, Toronto just kept answering every shot that the Lakers did in that fourth quarter and kind of took the lead there a little bit in that fourth. But yes, luckily they were up by 4 because someone on Toronto hit a 3-pointer as time expired. So if he would have missed one of those or both, the Lakers are talking about this as a loss, or, you know, an even harder win in overtime, or a tough loss too. So yes, luckily they were able to get this victory tonight and at least some momentum going forward, because I think Thursday they play against the Phoenix Suns, which should be a big time matchup on TNT, and I think Saturday they might get Oklahoma City. So yeah, a couple of nice Western Conference matchups coming up for the Lakers, so definitely looking forward to those. And I'm sorry, I want to update, I did look at the box score, and Anthony Davis had 41 points, so yes, definitely more than 30 plus. He was definitely the MVP tonight, and I was just deciding if I was going to put this at the end or make a separate video, but just because it's the beginning of now when the Chargers front office can start looking for general managers and head coaches, at least request an interview, because the NFL has it where they can't basically interview in person until after late in January, because a lot of these teams and coaches are in, you know, playing in the playoffs, and you don't want to distract them that much and all that stuff. I guess they were obviously complaining about that because it would be too hard to focus on trying to get a job and then helping your team win. So it kind of makes sense overall. But yeah, a lot of these coaches, especially from the teams that the Chargers have requested, are all pretty much playoff teams, which is a good sign. But there was a little bit of news that the Raiders did request to interview ex-Chargers general manager Tom Telesco. So of course everybody on X/Twitter is saying, oh please Raiders, don't take our best guy away from us, or do one of the better, you know, hires that the Chargers have had in their history. So I mean, I would not care if he went to the Raiders, because he'd probably screw that up too. But I guess he does have some connections with Jim Harbaugh, which might end up helping them in the process. You never know, but it'd be pretty funny to see him as a GM over there. But we'll start off with the head coaching list for the Chargers. So apparently on this list, the Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator for the Chargers, is on there. The Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, we've heard him a lot. Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris, he's an ex-coach recently. 49ers defensive coordinator Steve Wilks was a recent interim coach for Carolina, so he's pretty good. And obviously it's the 49ers. Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, and their defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn as well from the Lions. The Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken, and even the Raiders defensive coordinator Patrick Graham, because of all the bright spots for the Raiders, it has been their defense. That's what's kept them in this mini playoff run that they were almost about to make, but the offense, of course, just couldn't keep up, and they even had a big upset win over Kansas City a couple weeks ago. So yeah, the defense definitely was doing something right, and a lot of these names do cover a lot of like that Rooney Rule, where you have to give someone of different color and race other than white as well. So it is good that the Chargers are doing their work to hire anybody and everybody out there, which I like to see. And then at least 4 names, I believe, popped up for their general manager search. They are reaching back into the 49ers facility and trying to get a guy named Adam Peters. Saints personnel is Jeff Ireland. A Giants personnel, Brandon Brown. And a Bills personnel in Terrence Gray. So a lot of these guys are either assistant GMs at the place they are now, or even I think the Bills guy is like a director of player personnel. So a lot of these guys are different things, but they are at least general manager candidates around the business. And I guess, you know, these are the names that the Chargers have supposedly put in a request to get a one-on-one interview. So we'll see what ends up happening there. A couple of similar people connected with others, I guess, but we'll have to wait and see. And even a big fire happened today in Tennessee in the NFL where they let go of Mike Vrabel, who I think is a really good coach, but he was in a bad situation out there in Tennessee just because they never really wanted to spend that much money and they had a little bit of injury, bad luck. So I don't know, maybe the Chargers is not the greatest place for him to be, but maybe he could be a head coaching candidate, and if not, a coordinator, something at least to get him in the building to be able to help out your team. But yeah, I think that's a brain the Chargers need to pick as well. That's my opinion. So yes, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.